lot of I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through eyes covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.
साउंड ऐसे चलाओ कि जिससे कॉपीराइट ना आए।
Fire spreading
बाद में
all
कॉपीराइट
around
टेक डाउन हो
me.
जाएगा वीडियो।
Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the other eyes covered in bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.
साउंड ऐसे चलाओ कि जिससे कॉपीराइट ना आए।
Spreading
बाद में
all
कॉपीराइट
around
टेक
me.
डाउन हो जाएगा वीडियो।
Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the other eyes covered in cross out the ones who
हाँ बाद में कॉपीराइट टेक डाउन हो जाएगा वीडियो।
I see the other eyes covered in cross out the ones who
Stink.
हाँ ओके बाद में कॉपीराइट टेक यस कबीर 1 मिनट रुक जाते हैं 6:05 पे शुरू करते हैं। Let's start. Hey everyone, welcome back to the fourth day of Game Development Masterclass, and it's been amazing um, talking about game development in general and telling you guys how to create your game from scratch. Uh, in this in this episode, we are going to be talking about introduction to blueprints, um, data types, functions, so like programming stuff, and then we are going to talk about creating enemy AI. We are going to code in our own player today, so we'll have our animations set up. We'll have um, sort of like animation blueprint set up. We'll create a health system for our player. So like when the enemy chases the player and attacks us, they should like take a hit and the health should be reduced. And at one point when the health is less than or equal to zero, the player should die. Then we are going to test it and um, test our game on how it goes. Right. So let's continue with where we left off. Right. So this is sort of my project for the like this is sort of some old project files. The project is in Unreal Engine 4.22. So the ones that we did the first video on, it is that version. I am currently creating a copy of it in Unreal Engine 4.25, and it's 76% done. So until that happens, let's go through what has been done. Right. So our first step is to understand what blueprints are. So blueprint is a technique in Unreal Engine 4. It's a proper system that allows the user to write code or scripts and make gameplay events and mechanics without actual programming. For an example, open the level blueprints. Okay, right? So let's just go and open first of all a good level. So let's open this level right here. It's going to take a while because it's a super heavy level with lots of assets, lots of trees and grass and um, light sources. All right, so it's super dark. So I'm just going to change the view mode to unlit so that we could see what is going on. Right. So we created our level. I showed you how to add foliage and how to design our level. Now it's time to actually code in some gameplay events. So when you press play, our whatever cinematics we have, whatever cinematics we have programmed in to play, those will play. So in this, you can see the truck crashes and the player wakes up in the middle of nowhere. And with that begins our whole um, gameplay. So you can see there are a lot of things here. First of all, it is in first person, not in third person. We have like different character mesh. We have an AK-47 with us. We have different UI elements. That is a secondary part. You'll learn that in the later part of uh, the series. Anyway, so to show what blueprints are actually capable of, go to blueprints, open level blueprint, and here you see there are some blocks of code that are actually being played. Right. So let's talk about what's here. So event begin play. So it's sort of a function or an event that gets triggered whenever the playable level begins. So when I press play, it will sort of start as soon as the game starts, the level starts. So what it will happen is it will load the widget, a loading widget, and it will add the widget to a viewport. So widget, if you don't know about what widget is anything that is that will be shown as a user interface object. For example, your scores, health, health bars, kills, etc. That kind of stuff comes in widget, right? So we are going to load all the assets, so load stream level, and then once everything is loaded, we are going to remove the widget from parent. So parent here means our viewport. Then I'm going to play a sound at a location. That would be scary forest something. If I disconnect it, so press Alt and left click. So that will disconnect two nodes and compile it. The game will begin directly. So the things that were supposed to happen in the later point didn't happen because I disconnected the blueprints. So you might not have all of these files. So please don't all of these nodes. You'll have nothing here, right? So I have been working on this project for a very long time, and that's why there are so many things. I'm just trying to show what a blueprint is. Now we can add various variables. So let's just name it variable. And on the right side, I can set whatever type I wanted to, right? I can make it instance editable. Okay, right? So I can compile it, and now I can give it a default value. So if it's a Boolean, I can set it to true or false. If it is an integer, I can set its default value to 500 and use it wherever I wanted to use. All right, so things like your current score in the game, things like your kills, etc., your health are all variables, right? So that's how we use them continuously and keep on updating them. So variable is anything that can vary throughout your gameplay. All right. Now let's talk about functions. So let me just go to my third person character, right? And in this, I have created some functions. First one is take damage 5%. So what it is trying to do is it will decrease my player's health by 5%, right? So I have a variable of float type, which has a default value of 0.6. So it will vary from 0 to 1. So our health will have the maximum value of 1 and the minimum of 0.6, or the minimum of 0. So when it is 0, I want my player to die. But currently I'm just programming it to take damage, right? How do I do that? I first of all check if the value of armor. So that's also a float variable and it's at full, so 1.0. First of all, decrease its armor and then check if the armor is now less than 0. Matlab, the armor has completely broken off, right? Let's check, and if it's true, then we can decrease the health, right? So here we are decreasing the health, and if false, then just create a damage effects widget. So for example, if you want to have a blood splatter effect whenever a zombie or someone attacks your player, you can create a user interface widget and you can add it to a viewport just like this, right? So I have created a function here, and now I can call it wherever I want in the game. I just need to reference my third person character class. All right. So now let's talk about how we create our own character. Like how do we import our own animations? So First of all, open your third person character and go to viewport. And here you will not have a person holding an AK-47. You will have that robotic character that we had earlier, right? And the camera will not be here. It would be a bit far. So first of all, our aim is to have a custom skeletal mesh. How do we do that? Let me just show you really quickly. So share window. There is this website called mixsummer.com. I have talked about it a lot in my previous webinars or videos. You might have heard of it, you might have not. So this is a website with unlimited amount of characters and animations for games, videos, etc., etc. And the animations are actually motion captured, so you can do a lot with low or like no amount of work, right? So go to characters. So we are creating sort of like an FPS or a shooting type of game. So just type in SWAT, and we have three different characters, right? So let's just choose the ones that we are currently using. So this is not it, this is it, right? So if you zoom in, it is actually a really detailed model, right? Okay, now let's go to animations. First of all, download this blank T pose um, asset. This is your base skeletal mesh, and download it. Okay, it will get saved. Now go to animations and add your various animations like walk, right? So add walking, select it, go to in place, always select in place, and download without skin, because we have downloaded the skin and everything in the T-pose file, right? Just select download. Now download all the animations that you require from this website. Now let's come back to Unreal Engine. So okay, let's come back here. Okay, so it's now everything is now in Unreal Engine 4.25. So it has copied all the assets that we were seeing earlier. So this is a new project now. Okay, so let's again open our third person character. Okay, now again go to viewport. Now abhi bhi you will be seeing the grayish robotic character. How do we do it? Go to third person BP blueprints, create a new folder called character, and then press import and go to the file. So my models are stored in UE models folder, and for example you want to where do I find it? So here are various character files, etc., etc. And all you need to do is select your FBX model. So let me just find that real quickly. Character. These are all the animations. Mesh. Okay. So here is my SWOT.fbx character. All I need to do is click open, and this SWOT character will be imported. You won't still have the AK-47. That's a different part. I'll explain it shortly. But you'll have this kind of mesh here, right? Textures will be included automatically. So that's the fun part working with Mixamo. You'll get proper assets that don't need much modifying to get started, right? So I have my SWOT character, but it is stuck in one position. To To enable it to walk and run and shoot various things, I want animations. So in this folder only, create a new folder called animations that I have done here. Now you have, I'm assuming, imported a lot of animations from Mixamo for your character. So just go to that folder, character, animations, and there are a lot of animations. I'm going to select them all and press open. When you're doing that, um, so I'm just, okay, so I've already done that. So when you're trying to add animations, always select the skeleton carefully, because you just created your asset, which is called SWOT. So the skeleton asset would be called as, all right, let me just find it. Okay, so it's called SWOT only. So SWOT underscore skeleton would be the title of the file, and you have to select that. So each animation is linked to a skeleton, and all of the animations that we just created should be linked to our player character skeleton that we just imported, right? So we have all the animation. Now, what it is that we need to do right now, right? We need to create an animation blueprint. So select your skeletal mesh, that is the SWOT file, right click. Now go to create, and in the right side you will find a option that will say anim blueprint. So anim blueprint is animation blueprint, and I have named this SWOT anim underscore bp. Go ahead and open it. Now in the event graph, you won't have anything this long. You won't have anything here actually. So there are a lot of things going on, and you won't have like itna sab kuch nahi hoga, right? You won't have, you will just have this one node which is called event blueprint update animation. Okay, nothing to worry about. Now go to the state machine. Just wait a second. Okay, in the anim graph, sort of like when you'll open the anim graph, you will have only this output pose, right? And the problem with output pose is, so you will having only this. The problem with output pose is that you can connect only one animation with it. So on the right side in the asset browser, you will having all your assets. So if I select idle and drag it and I connect it to output and then compile it, you will see it playing that particular animation, that is idle animation. But I don't want it to play only one animation. I want it to play running animation and etc. etc. Right? So I will create a, press right click and type in state machine. So add new state machine and name it whatever. So I have named it walk underscore run, as you can see here, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and connect it to my output pose. Okay. Now double click to open it, and now you will see an entry pose, and there would be nothing with it. So it would be just entry. Now, if you compile it again, it is again stuck on a very specific pose because nothing is connected here. So there was no entry state connection as walk run, right? Right? There is no state here to go to. So drag this, right? Press the arrow and drag this and add a state. Name it idle. So first of all, the first state that we want to create is idle. Idle is just standing and aiming at one place. So I'm just going to connect it to my state here, compile. Now double click to open a state. Now you'll have again an output animation pose, and this time I am going to go ahead and drag in idle animation and I'll connect it to it. So in this, when my player in this particular state, it will always be in idle. It will always play the idle animation. Now I want to select your idle and drag it. So you'll see an arrow, being drawn. When you select the boundary of a state and press left click and drag it away, you get an arrow. And now I can create a state that will connect to my idle. So it will go to another state from idle, right? How do I do that? Again, drag it outside and add a new state and call it walk underscore run. Now take that state and connect it back to idle because I want it to go back to idle. Because a player can go from idle to walking to running and then come back to idle, right? That's what we want. Now, okay, now open this up and now let's connect something here. But you'll find one thing really different, that we have so many um, so many assets for running and walking only. So we have run backward in place, so it's backward run. It's run backward left in place, so it's running backwards but on the left side. And we have the same for the right side. We have run forward in place, run forward left in place, run forward right in place, and same again for walking. So there are at least 16 assets here for running and walking only. Now, how do we solve that? We press right click again at the SWOT, go to create, and here there is an option called blend space and select that. Name this walk run underscore BS. So BS stand for blend space. Now double click to open it. All right, you will have a graph something like this. Okay, if you're thinking that I'm moving too fast, it's because the contents for today are a lot and I have to cover a lot. Please just bear with me. And if you miss something, just come back to it when the stream ends. It's really not that difficult. Okay, it's just a series of basic procedures. All right. Your project file, when you create it, like the blend space file, you won't have these many dots. Your player would be standing in just the idle animation. All right, so first of all, it's important to name our horizontal and vertical axis. So horizontal axis, I'm going to call it direction, and I am going to set its minimum value to minus 180 and maximum axis value to 180. So you can see minus 180 here and plus 180 on the right side. Okay, let's talk about speed. So speed is the name of the vertical axis that you can see here, and its minimum value is 0 and maximum value is 180. Awesome. Now we have idle animation right in the middle. So in the asset browser, just type in idle to find idle, and idle aiming, and drop it at the in the bottom middle. So that's the place where the player is in idle, right? So direction is also 0 and speed is also 0 here, right? So jump speed or direction dono 0 hai, so what our player is doing, it's standing still. So that's where idle comes in. Drag in an idle. Now if we go to left, it's doing nothing. So idle again. If we go to left again, it is doing nothing because the speed is still 0. And so idle for all of the values in the bottom, right? Idle aiming for all of these. Now we go up and up and up to the middle point, that is 90. 90 means walk and 180 means okay, run now, right? Now select it, select walk forward in place and drag it in the middle. Now add walk right in place and again walk left in place, and then we have walk forward in place and run left in place, and then we have run right in place, right? And when the direction is getting negative, I want my player to run backwards, because direction negative means I have taken an opposite turn. So when the direction gets negative, walk backward in place. So on the corners, I am adding walk backward. So just type in walk backward here and drag it here. So we have all the coordinates according to our coordinates of direction and speed. I have plotted all the points, and you can press shift and this green dot will appear and you can drag it anywhere to see where you're going with it. Right, so you can see my running. Right, so it looks fine. Save this and how to get rid of this. Okay, it's gone. Just drag it and I'll close the walk run BS. And now just connect the just connect the walk run BS. Drag it here. Here you'll see that you need two axes, again direction and speed, so that the blueprint could get the information of, okay, what is the direction and speed that I need to update now, that I need to put the animation now, right? So drag it and we'll create two variables called direction and speed in the bottom. So just click this plus option and create a direction variable and a speed variable. And the variable type would be float. So float is decimal values. You can see also 0.0. Awesome. Now drag direction here and speed here, right? So I've done that. And now drag this and type layer blend per bone. So this is merging two animation. Whenever you're going from one animation to another, which involves movement, just add this node. So our base pose will be the walk run BS, and blend pose 0 would be idle aiming, right? So just type in idle and add it here by dragging it and connecting it to base pose 0. Now the animation pose just connected with result. When you compile it, it works. Now you will be having some warnings when you try to compile it, just like I did, which says idle to walk run will never be taken. Please connect something to can enter transition. So, okay, how do I fix that? When you go to your blend space, you might find that there are two arrows that were created when you connected walk, run, and idle. Now, double click to open an arrow. This is sort of telling us कि idle से हम walk run जा रहे हैं and walk run से हम idle जा रहे हैं. So when we are going to idle and walk run, select that particular arrow and check if the speed is greater than or equal to 10. If it is, then it can enter that transition. And do the opposite in the lower one. So drag the speed, so drag in, and we are getting the speed. We are going to check if it is less than equal to, so float less than equal to, and if it is less than 10, then it can enter the transition. Okay, to delete the ones that we previously have, compile it and save, and now you won't have any issues. Similarly, I have created a death animation, and you can die 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in this, I have in my various animation states here. When you go to death state, you never return because the game is over, right? Got a little philosophical there. So once you reach death, you cannot come back to another state. So and the game is over. So all right, now we have created walk and run. We have attacking animation also and reloading also. So you can do a lot of things by creating variables. Now come to event graph, and you will have a red color event called event blueprint update animation, and this will perform the code that you require to update the animation. For example, drag the then 0. So first of all, how to add this? Just drag it and type sequence. Right, so just select this and you'll have a sequence here like we have right now. So then 0 and drag the then 0 and type in cast to character, not the third person character, just character, and drag the object and type try get pawn owner. Now from that I am going to drag it again and type in get velocity. So velocity is the vector term, vector analog of speed, and I'm going to drag it again and type in get after rotation. So I'll have this here. Velocity is of the type, the variable type would be vector, and in this the variable type would be rotator. Now drag the cast to character node here and type in calculate direction, and this will ask for velocity and base rotation. Just connect the return value that you get from get velocity and get active rotation to here. Now now we need to set the value of variables that we just created, so direction and speed. How do we do that? Just drag this and type set direction. Awesome, so you'll have it here, and just drag the return value from here to here. Simple. Then again drag this and type in set speed, and this will appear, and all you need to do is drag this, then type vector length and connect the return value of it to here. Compile and save. Now we have created a basic animation blueprint for our character. I'll try to put this source code on GitHub, but it's like super large, so it might take a while for me to do that, but you should get the gist of it. All right, now we have created our character, we have given it animations. Let's connect it. Let's connect our sort of like AK-47 to it, right? So you download a file that has the mesh for AK-47, like I have it here. So okay, just going to find it. All right, so this is the AK-47 that we are going to be using, right? Looks really good. I'm going to close this. Go to the skeleton folder of your SWOT and select the skeleton tab, and your skeleton will appear. All right. I'm just going to share my whole screen so that you don't miss anything. Okay. So hope it's I hope it's visible right now. Okay, so all right, so please explain. I can't understand anything you did. Okay, what I did was I went to miximo.com, so the website, which is here, right? So I downloaded a character file for it. So my character file name is SWOT, and I downloaded the asset by pressing download and downloading our asset. Then I downloaded various animation like walking, running, crouching, etc., etc. Right? And I did that. Then I came back to my Unreal Engine folder, Unreal Engine project. I created a folder called, or I went into third person VP, blueprints, character. I created a folder called character. I imported my 3D mesh. So all you have to do is select your mesh file. So that is .fbx file, and open it, right? And you will have a third person character. sort of like a character mesh imported inside your folder. So it should look like this, right? So itna hi kiya abhi humne. Then we went on to create. So right click, create animation blueprint, right? We created an animation blueprint. I'm just going to delete it because we already have an animation blueprint file for this. Okay, so I named it SWOT anim underscore BP. Okay, you should see it right now. See it now. Okay. In this, there would be something that you might be seeing like this, and okay. So it would be something like this, and there would be nothing connected to your output pose. The problem with one output pose is you can only connect one animation to it. So it's always going to be play, crouch, turning 90 degrees, right? I don't want that. I want my animation to play multiple assets. How do I do that? I press right click and I type add new state machine. So it's going to create sort of like a graph for me from which I can go from one state to another. So state means animation. So I can go from idle animation to walk or running animation, or I can go to reloading animation, or I can go to death animation, right? So double click to open it. Now entry means when the game will start, what animation you want the player to do. So logically it should be idle. So drag the entry node and type in add state, and it will add a state. You can name it from here. I named it idle. Double click to open it and type in idle in your asset browser here and select whatever animation that you require and connect its output to the result node here. Compile, and you'll have something like this in your viewport. Awesome. Now we need a walking and running type of thing in our for our character here, right? So we have many assets. If we go into our asset browser, there are so many files for just running and walking in various directions. So how do we tell it to perform one specific type? To do that, I select my SWOT skeletal mesh. I select right click, I press right click button and create pe jaake I added blend space. So blend space is sort of like um, a graph in 2 dimensions. So let me just try to open it for you. Okay. So when you'll create a new blend space, you won't have these many points. I named my horizontal axis direction that will define what direction I'm going for. I set its minimum value to -180 and maximum value to +180. I named vertical axis speed and its minimum value is 0 and maximum value is 180. All right. So direction can be negative. That means I am facing backwards now. So or like I'm moving backwards now, right? So in the middle where the direction and speed are 0, I added idle. So when you um, type in idle in your asset browser on the right side and drag in idle underscore aiming or whatever your animation is, drag it and place it here in the bottom middle, right? Now press shift and just keep your mouse at the bottom middle, and you'll see that it is only playing idle animation, right? Now type in walk and drag your walking front animation to the middle point. That is, direction is still 0, but the speed is now 90. Now drag in your run animation, run forward in place or whatever it is called, and add it where the direction is still 0 and speed is 180, right? Now when the direction is -90, I want it to do nothing, idle, because the speed is still 0. And when the direction is +90, I still wanted to do nothing. So idle again. And so bottom line will only contain idle because the minimum value is 0 and with speed is 0, it means the player is just standing, whatever the direction is. Now on the left side, in like when we reach 90 in speed, so I wanted to so you can press right click. So it's walk left in place. That means I have gone left, and on the right side I'm going to add walk right, right, and on the extreme left I'm going to add walk backwards. So this is what we are trying to do, and in this I have added walk backwards also, because 180-degree means I have turned around completely. So we went from back to left to forward to right to again back, right? And you all you need to do is just press your shift key and drag your mouse around to see the transitions in the graph. Right, so you can see it. Now all you need to do is press save and go back to your animation blueprint. Now when you type in walk run underscore bs or whatever you name your blend space to be, you can see it here in the asset browser. Now drag this in and this will appear. Now it will ask for two things, that is direction and speed, right? So we are going to create two variables of float type. So float means decimal values, and name it direction. Then I'll create another variable and I'll call it speed. Okay, compile, save, and connect the direction. Just drag it and point it to the direction like this, and it will connect it. Okay, and same with speed. So we did that, and then drag in layer and just drag this and type in layer blend per bone. Okay, so it will automatically connect the base pose to walk run underscore bs and drag in idle underscore aiming, because that's my idle animation, and connect it to blend poses 0. Okay, compile, save, and drag the output of this node and connect it to result. This will let us transition from idle to walk run underscore bs. All right, we have successfully created our animation blueprint. When you click this arrow which says idle to run, idle to walk underscore run, just double click to open it. What I'm trying to display here is, or tell here is, the speed should be greater than 10 equal to 0 to enter the transition. So it will go from idle to walk or run only when the speed is greater than 10.0, right? And the opposite condition would be true in the walk or run to idle. So when we are walking and our speed decreases to 10, less than 10, we are going to fall back into the idle animation. So compile, save. That's what we just did. Now go to third person blueprints folder, so third person BP, open blueprints, and open your third person character. Close all of this and open your third person character. Now in this you will only have minimum amount of blueprints. I have just coded a lot of stuff here. Okay, so you will have your movement input, you will have your mouse input, touch input, gamepad input, etc, etc. So what you need to do is, first of all, go to the viewport, select your mesh here, and type in whatever character that you just created. So SWAT, right? In our case, it was SWAT. Select this, and our animation will and our player will appear. Now it would still be in this pose because you haven't selected anim class. So the blueprint, animation blueprint that we just created will be used here. I called it SWAT anim underscore BP. If I won't select it, or like I choose none and compile it, you will see that it just defaulted back to a T pose, right? So I am not going to do that. Compile and save. All right. Now you might be thinking that how did I get my camera here? Well, go back to the SWOT and select this skeletal option, and it will open the skeleton file for you. Now we have a bone called head, right? Just type in head and the head will appear. I want my camera at this position. How do I do that? Go to again your blueprint folder, select follow camera. So you'll have this already, and your parent socket should be head. All right. And if it doesn't snap into this position automatically, just use the arrows to do it. Okay, that's how I did it. So it will also be connected to the this socket, so like head, and it will also be in this position. So it will keep the orientation of the bone that is head. All right. Now, if you press play, you will see that you might not have the AK-47. I'm going to explain it in 5 minutes, but you will be able to move now in various positions using your mouse and your WAS, your arrow button keys. That is pretty sick. Now let's move forward by adding an AK-47. So let's say you go to a website like TurboSquid. All right. So TurboSquid is a website where you can get free 3D assets. So just type in AK-47. All right, and just select and price that it should be free. Okay, now I have gotten all of these guns, and I'm going to check what one is .fpx file or .obj, because only these two extensions work well with Unreal Engine 4. So I'm going to select this one. I'm going to download it, and when it is done downloading, I am going to press import and I'm going to import it the way I imported my SWOT character or SWOT file. Awesome. Now I have done that. Go to wherever your folder, wherever your AK is stored. So I'm just going to type in AK-47 in the content browser, the search thing here. And this is how my asset looks like, the one that I used. Okay, so you can model your own character in Blender or Cinema 4D or whatever software that you are using. Just export it in FBX format, and this should look like this should look fine. Okay, now go back to your SWOT skeleton file, and okay. Now in this, you should have, okay, in the right hand pinky or whatever, just select, okay, just type in right hand, right? And right click on it, and there would be an option called add socket. So socket is sort of like a point where I can attach various objects to my skeleton here, right? So I added a socket, I named it, okay, I named it weapon underscore attach, and then I added the AK-47 for the preview. If I delete the preview, it will still work because the main AK-47 will be added in the third person blueprint. Okay, so we added the socket, close this. Now open your third person blueprint, right? So just type in the content browser third person pp on third person character. Okay, third person character, open it and go to viewport. Now add a skeletal mesh. So skeletal mesh, right? And this is it. And select AK or whatever your gun is called. Gun is called. So mine is called AK. So I just selected it. And something like this would appear. Now in the parent socket, I attached it to weapon underscore attach, compile it, save it. Now if you press play, you will have your gun with you. Looks amazing, right? Now we need to program it to shoot other things, like shoot. How would we do that? Let me just find it. Okay, so right click and type in primary fire. This would be created automatically, or what you can do is, if this is not appearing, go to edit, project settings, and in the input, in like open the action mappings here and press this little plus icon and name it primary fire. Now drag this arrow and select this plus icon. And if you're creating, in this case, we are creating the game for Windows. So type in left mouse button, select it, and our work is done. Go back to our third person, and if this is not appearing, so type in press right click and type primary file, then the name that we gave to our input, right? Select that. This will appear. I am going to create a Boolean variable. So Boolean variable will have a value of either true or false. So when our player is firing, I'm just going to set it to true. So go here, select plus, and there is a variable called firing. Its default value is false. So by default, I am not firing. So when I press it, type in set firing, and when you select that, this will appear, and I've set it to true. Now check branch if I am sprinting or not. This won't happen with you. So let's just move forward. So drag this. And I guess I created a function called fire. Okay, so we are going to leave it here. Hello? Okay. Yeah, okay. I guess it. I guess it. Mm-hmm. Okay. 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 Mm-hmm. All right. So I hope uh, everything should be easy to understand right now. Okay. So just bear with us. Okay. Now I have set my firing to true when it is pressed, right? And you won't be having any of this. So just ignore like and just pull this. So you'll just have these three things here. So when it is released, it should set it to set firing to false. Now I want you to create go to the weapons folder or wherever your weapons are being stored. Select right click and press right click and select blueprint class. It is an actor component, right? So an actor is an object that can be placed or spawned in the world. So anything that you're not playing with, sort of like a character, is an actor component. All right. So select actor and name it weapon underscore base or whatever you want it to be. So weapon underscore PP would work fine also. All right. Go to event and we are going to create a function where it is. Okay, so press right click and type in add custom event. So this is sort of like an event that we are creating, right? So this would appear, and you can name your event whatever from the right side. I just named it fire, which seems appropriate. Now, what we are trying to do is whenever a gun fires, it is spawning a projectile. So a bullet is a projectile, right? Those who are statics would relate, can relate to them with the um, uh, third law of motion questions that we see in the exam or studying class. One of them is the bullet hits uh, the wall, right? So what we are trying to do is just drag this and type spawn actor from class, right? And go to viewport. In the skeletal mesh, we added a skeletal mesh, right? So this is an AK. I selected AK from here, right? Now go back to your AK, open the skeleton because this is also a skeletal mesh, so it will have a skeleton. Now select this because it will have only one bone. Select this and add a socket. Name it muzzle and move it at the top. So muzzle is this place right here, right? Save this, go to AK, and first of all, press right click, blueprint, actor blueprint, and you can call it projectile underscore base. So this is nothing, like this is literally nothing. This is just a static mesh, and so just add component static mesh and select. I have set the shape to be narrow capsule. All right, and I've added an audio, something that would go like explosion, right? So I've added an explosion sound, and I added one more component which says projectile movement. All right. So you can edit the initial speed, max speed, etc., from here. I have set it to 3500. You can increase it. So let's just set it to 4500 and max speed be 4500. Compile, save, close this, close this. Now come back to the weapon blueprint file. Go to the event graph, and remember we added spawn actor from class. In the class, just select the projectile file that you just created in the by the black blueprints. Right now, we need a location. How do we get that? Just drag the skeletal mesh into your scene, into your graph blueprints, and type get socket transform. So what this will do is give me the transformation or like sort of the location, rotation, and scaling vector of a particular socket. And I can just enter the name of the socket, which is muzzle, right? So compile, save, and I added the return value of it to spawn transform. Okay, compile, save, and you should press play. Now, let me just get some ammo, reload it. You won't have these type of functions. All you have to do is press play and press left mouse button. So you can see you won't even have the muzzle flash. That is a different thing. I'll explain it in the last masterclass. So you can see a bullet just flew out, right? Let me just decrease the speed of it so that you can do it more appropriately. Okay, so go to projectile, and I'll set the speed to be 2500. Right, so play. Just so you can see a projectile going forward. Awesome, right? So we have finally created our player character, and in this I know we also wanted to create our own enemy, etc. So, like, would you guys be comfortable if I explain that too? Because I know आज की already class काफी heavy हो गई है. Should we postpone the uh, should we postpone the enemy part to the next class, or shall I just um, explain it in this session? All right. So you can ask your questions right now, and I'll answer. We have 15-20 minutes left, so I'll try to answer all your questions. So fire away. Okay, so Ishan Jaiswal says that I can continue with the enemy part. You sure? Okay. Just let me know if just say postpone if you want me to postpone the enemy part, because I know it is a lot to take. It was a lot to actually explain also. How to display a menu, that will be covered in the later. So in the next part, we are going to create an enemy and we are going to create a main menu and all the UI element. So those two things will be covered tomorrow. It will be like a 1.5 hour or 1 hour tutorial. Like I chose a pre-built project because I knew this would take a lot of time if I did everything manually. Okay, so when I click on play, it shows mobile controls. How do I switch to PC? You might need to create a new project and then copy all the assets from what you imported in the or what you created in the first project to another. This should work. Okay. All right. So a lot of people are saying that we can postpone the enemy part, like the enemy creation. There was a topic, right? We can do it in the next tutorial because it was already very content heavy. This one. Okay. Okay. So how to animate gun recoil? This I can answer really quickly. So all you need to do is again go to maximum.com and there is an asset which is called firing. Okay. So I'm just going to third person BP or third person character, whatever the name is of my blueprint folder. Also, I am going to go into my character folder, third person BP, blueprints, character, animation, and I'm just going to type in fire. Okay. So firing rifle. So this is your AK-47 firing animation. So you can see it is firing right now and there is a bit of a recoil. How do I implement it? Well, just go to your animation blueprint. So this is it. Okay, this is not it. This is it. So now in here, add sort of like idle sahi, drag it and add a state called firing. Right. So I named it firing. So this state will tell us that okay, the player is firing. Now, what will be the animation here? The animation will be here firing rifle. Compile, save, and I just need to connect this back to idle because firing से idle वापस जा सकते हैं. And if we did not connect firing to idle, then it would be stuck in this animation for till the game is over. Okay. Now we need to set it. I can set a boolean variable which is firing, and I can get its value from third person character in my events graph, and I can simply do the whole firing animation. So I did this, and here I can. So when I have to tell it now, when it will go from firing to idle, right? So I'm just going to drag in firing and I'm going to add not boolean. So when it is not firing, like when firing is false, it will move on to the um, idle animation. Okay, so I'm going to, so you see the recoil now. Okay, any more questions? How to fix animation? Just go to your event graph and see if you missed something, delete some nodes. Just like you do in C++, you comment something, you find where your issue is, you check the compiler results. Okay, so yeah, day 4 link has been posted by Vedant in the chat. It's the same form it says. Okay, also publish how to game. Yeah, that would be, that is like a 10 minutes topic, 5 minutes topic. What knowledge is required to make blueprints in Unreal Engine 4? If you don't know anything about coding, it's only going to take you 5 or 6 days to get the hang of working in blueprints. So watch this tutorial from start to beginning to know कि blueprints काम कैसे करते हैं, to know how they actually work, and see a lot of other tutorials, because I don't think if you see from my perspective only you'll get everything. You need to see various videos, various tutorials, maybe get a Udemy course, and in 5 to 6 days you'll get the hang of working with blueprints. 5 to 6 days, 1 hour each. Okay. Is there any other way to get animation for character because they are somewhat messy? Okay. Let me make this simple for you. If your game is really simple, it won't have that kind of a mess that mine has. My, like, the project that I showed you is really messy because it has a million gameplay elements. Not a million, I sort of exaggerated, but it has hundreds of gameplay elements. That's why it was so messy. That's why there were so issues. If you, all right, so let me just help you in that, how to maintain your code or how to maintain your blueprint. So for example, you are coding in firing weapon, right? So all you need to do is select all your code that is involved with firing and press C. So it will add a comment, and now you can name it. Now when you zoom it, you can see um, uh, the name of that comment. So you can zoom in and now sort of maintain it. So you can see, like, not all of my code is messy. It's a work in progress. So add dead animation, reduce flashlight battery, etc., etc. So all you can do is just add various things like comments and use the space. So the space that blueprints give is unlimited. So use the unlimited space to um, differentiate from one thing to another. And in blueprints, in animation blueprints like this, all you can do is just drag things further apart. That's the only way I think to maintain, sort of clean code. That's the thing. Is there any other way to get animation for character because they are somewhat messy? Yes, I explained it. Like, I don't think there is any other way to get the animation. If you go to Unreal Engine YouTube channel, there are now ways that you can create your own animations inside of Unreal Engine 4, but those are very lengthy. Like, so they're super lengthy procedures. So I have told you the easiest part. Import an animation, connect it to your skeleton, and in animation graph, just um, when I changed the character mesh, the neck was broken. Okay, so you need to re-import your character, make sure everything is working fine. Contact me on the Telegram group. Send me some screenshots of your project. Only then I can debug. because this seems like a specific issue. No, you cannot extract 3D animations and models from other games, because if there was a way to do that, you would be in trouble because then you will have copyright issues. I created great dynamic game, but it's included. Okay, you are in on the right path, Ishant, as well. You have created a grenade. Now, uh, okay, now you just need to create blueprint for that to destroy other things. So, Unreal Engine has a super cool um, sort of like plugin being developed, which is called Chaos. So, in Chaos, uh, you can program things to be destroyed when it comes in contact with specific objects. So maybe watch videos of that, or you can browse through YouTube videos to how to damage other objects using a explosion element. Yes, tomorrow is the last class. Tomorrow is the last masterclass for game development. Okay, sorry. Okay, so it is tomorrow. It is tomorrow. How to take out the cinematic video? Take out as in MP4. Okay. So in this case, all right. So you have created your cinematic sequencer, right? And you'll have this kind of a file. So level sequence, right? I'm just going to open it. It's going to take a while. Okay. So my CPU is being used 100%. That's all 6 cores. For some reason. Okay. So we have our sequencer file here, right? Now all you need to do is press this render button, and this will appear. Now select your image output format. It should be AVI if you're going for video output. Select your audio output format. It is still experimental. Okay, now go ahead and capture movie. Also select your output directory and what is the name of the file format. Okay, then when you press capture movie, it will capture the whole animation or the whole level sequence into a .avi file. That is your video, playable video file. Okay, then there must be an issue with the character bones and other things. Okay, if Dash Studio is creating issues, make sure your all the bones are oriented in the proper way. Make sure the mesh is proper, the clothing is working fine. Then it is the problem in while you're exporting it from Dash Studio. No, we haven't covered pawn sensing component right now. I did that briefly in the FPS webinar, but I'm going to do it again in the tomorrow's session, where we create an enemy, basic enemy AI, which runs to the player, tries to hit us, and take away our health. Yeah, I'm just seeing if there are more queries. Okay. So guys, if you have any more questions, we have like 4 or 5 minutes spare. You can fire away your questions, and if the query is not too complex, I can answer it right now. Okay. So Ishan Jaiswal, I'd recommend you to please go through your Dash Studio file and check through your settings. Is the scaling fine? Like check the scaling information, etc., etc., the details panel in Dash Studio. ठीक है, तो सर्टिफिकेट वाले क्वेश्चंस would be um, yeah, would be answered in the Telegram by the team. So you can ask them here or in the Telegram channel, right? Okay, I created enemy. It is working, but problem in sensing the player. Okay, I'm going to cover it in the next video. All right, and just answer the question in the assignment, and that is pretty much it. Thank you for joining me in this masterclass, and I'm super happy to be doing it. Thank you for joining me. It is an amazing experience. Thank you all.
My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
You can spam their script copy.